But here at Comerica Park, plenty of riches going on. One of the best teams in baseball over the last 4 or 5 seasons, the Detroit Tigers, hosting the Rockies again here this afternoon. Hi, everybody. Jack Corrigan along with Jeff Houston. Glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon in Michigan. And one of the things that we've talked about all weekend, Jeff, has been the pitching. And we're going to see, perhaps on paper, the best matchup of the weekend.
Yeah, because you have Jorge De La Rosa going up against Anibal Sanchez. And we know about Sanchez, we know about the Tigers, but for De La Rosa, what he has meant to this organization, what he's meant to this team this year, he has been the rock-solid starter all year long. 5 times since June 16th, he's trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. So far, he's 4 for 4 in July. He was phenomenal. 5 starts, 3-0. But his ERA in interleague play is also 1.13. So De La Rosa looking to continue that trend today. But for Detroit, they have Anibal Sanchez going. Some scouts are saying he has as good a stuff as anybody in that rotation, and that's saying quite a bit for Sanchez against the Rockies. Great numbers, 3-0 and 4 starts, 2.20 ERA. He's shown a no-hitter. Last year he finished 4th in the Cy Young voting. But for Sanchez, innings 1 through 6, he's pretty good. 7th inning, 3rd time through, guys start to get after him. So if you have that chance, you got to be able to jump on him and pile up some runs.
For the Rockies, we have had a lot of players come and go throughout the course of the season. Jason Pridey is the latest Rocky. In the case of Pridey, who has had more than a few at-bats in the big leagues and a lot of time at the minor league level, this won't be a debut for him. Nonetheless, for Jason this afternoon, there'll be a little bit extra going for the outfielder.
That's all going to come back, but there's definitely a little bit of that kind of nervous anytime you get, first game. You get the same thing like first day in AAA, every year. No matter where you are, it's kind of that same thing. Once that first, you see that first pitch or that first ball in the outfield, it all comes back. But, personally, I feel anytime you get back up to the big leagues, it's a great feeling. There's always that little bit of a little bit of excitement and nervousness until you get out there and get going.
What? And for Jason Pridey, let's not forget, this guy was a second-round pick back in 2002 for Tampa Bay, so he's had to battle. He has 125 games in the big leagues, but he understands how precious it is, your time in the big leagues. You go down, you take your lumps at AAA in hopes you get back, and he worked his way back.
You got to like the beard already, so we'll see if that plays out well for Jason here this afternoon. The Rockies and the Tigers from Detroit. Starting lineups when we come back. Brought to you by your neighborhood Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. By Inova Cancer Care. Take a novel approach to cancer care. Learn more about prostate cancer treatment at InovaCC.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at Southwest.com. There's an overhead shot with our blimp overhead brought to us by DirecTV. And you see it's going to be a big crowd on hand here again today at Comerica Park. Corey Dickerson is going to man the leadoff spot for the Rockies this afternoon. Charlie Blackmon will not be in the starting lineup, but let's take a look at the rest of the starting lineup brought to us by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at Southwest.com. Pretty much a similar lineup we've seen on the weekend, with the exception of Jason Friday getting his Rockies debut this afternoon in left field, and Brandon Barnes will be the right fielder. Carlos Gonzalez feeling better, but probably still a couple of days away.
Well, you have the off day tomorrow for Colorado. They go home, don't play until Tuesday night. So one for Carlos Gonzalez. The second one is for Charlie Blackmon.
The Inova Cancer Care starting pitchers, non-surgical treatment of prostate cancer. Visit InovaCC.com.
Well, and we talked about Anibal Sanchez, a .227 batting average against. That's 7th best in the American League. A lot of that came early on because in his last 7 starts, he has a .556 ERA and a .290 batting average against. But for Anibal Sanchez, you'll see everything. You'll see fastball, changeup, slider, curveball, and he works both sides of the plate, and he also works up and down.
We'll see how it plays out here this afternoon. I thought you were going to throw the kitchen sink in there. You know, two hands to give signs.
If he had a screwball, I would have. He doesn't have that.
And throws the first pitch in for a swinging strike to Dickerson. Corey hitting at .315 on the year. Has gone 0 for 8 this weekend. Battling a little bit of a tightness in the core area. A remnant of the 16-inning game, and strike 2. And when Sanchez is on, like Jeff was talking about, you see right there lots of down action to create the chance for that fastball above the hands to the left-handed batters.
It's all about changing eye level, and that's what he can do. You know, he learned it because he came up with Boston. He learned how to pitch watching Pedro Martinez.
And there's the example, up and away, and Dickerson chased a pitch out of the strike zone. Let's take a look now at the Tigers defense, brought to us by XL Energy. Visit responsiblebynature.com today to learn more. The Tigers have made only one change on the weekend. We had Brian Holiday Friday night behind the plate. Alex Avila's second straight start. He's their #1 catcher. Rajay Davis taking over there in center field after the Thursday trade of Austin Jackson. Josh Rutledge, the Rockies shortstop, takes strike 1. It's the veteran Bill Welke calling the balls and strikes this afternoon. Sunny and 81. A very nice day here in Detroit.
Pretty warm down on the field, even though it's just 81 degrees. Humidity about 40-50%. You and I were in the dugout right around 11:30 local time, and we walked across the field. We both mentioned to each other, wow, it's going to be a little toasty.
Yeah, a little different because really it's been cool all week in Chicago and here in Detroit. It's the way it's been in the Midwest for much of the summer. Count holds at 2 strikes on Josh Rutledge.
Must have missed a catch. I didn't see it.
Tucked in the corner under the some of the club seats, if you will. They have almost like Adirondack chairs underneath the overhang of the second deck. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we have the catch. Just get up out of the Adirondack chair, barehanded, and he's going to give it away.
That's good.
There you go.
That's the way. Suarez, the shortstop, will take care of his counterpart on the ground ball, and 2 up, 2 down for Sanchez.
Well, when Anibal Sanchez was with the Florida Marlins, or Miami Marlins, I should say at that time, 4 starts, 3-0 with a 2.20 ERA. And remember, it was in a Marlins uniform that he threw a no-hitter against Arizona September 6, 2006. So he has the stuff. He's always been able to throw all the pitches that you need and are required for a starting pitcher.
Nolan Arenado with 2 outs here in the top of the first. It is, I don't know if it's because of the openness of center field where there aren't many seats, just really a walkway. Get this pitch into Nolan. But I've always felt in the years that I've come here for a day game, it seems brighter than other parts.
It maybe it's high glare. Yeah, there's a lot of glare here at this ballpark. I no answer for you, but it does seem that way. And even down on the field when we were there, just watching the guys for the Tigers take batting practice, some of them take ground balls, and it just had that different look.
Some places, and maybe it's because there's a little bit more of a tilt backwards for the grandstands, that more sun hits everywhere. Did he hold up? He did. 2-2 on Nolan.
The right call from John Tumpain.
Yeah,
there has to be an intent to swing. You know, he started to swing, but it was more the attempt. Let me try to get out of the way.
And that runs the count full.
Sanchez thought he had strike 3 because he took 2 steps towards the dugout. It was off the forward strike zone.
A little bit of a shade towards left for the outfield. And we'll try it again. Now, Nolan's been one of the Rockies' most productive hitters in interleague this year, hitting in the mid-370s. Rockies have won just 6 interleague games, but that's 1 more than they won all of last year. They have 2 more after today with Kansas City at Coors Field. Who wants tacos? Remember, if the Rockies score 7 or more runs during any game, you can go to a participating Colorado Taco Bell location the next day between 4 and 6 p.m. and get your Rockies taco special. Live Mas at Taco Bell.
Be a good day to get it. We have an off day tomorrow.
That's it.
Dinner plan.
Burrow will take a brief look, but well back. Any sense, and I know it's very early, but Jeff, you talked about Sanchez being so tough first and most of the second time through, and then the numbers change. Any feel as to why?
Probably get used to all those pitches. I mean, the first time through, a 175 batting average against.
Did he hold up? Not this time. Tumpain rings him up on what would have been ball 4. Sanchez gets a couple of strikeouts in a 1-2-3 first. The Tigers coming to bat. by the DirecTV blimp, and those are wonderful shots. We thank DirecTV for providing them. We had them Friday night and again here this afternoon. Rajai Davis, who has been a problem for the Rockies in this series, going 5 for 9 at the top of Brad Ausmus's lineup. Let's take a look at the rest of the Tigers lineup, brought to us by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. As I mentioned at the outset, defensively, from the offensive perspective, the exact same lineup as last night. Davis and Kinsler have been tough at the top. Cabrera and Martinez both with long home runs in last night's game. Our Innova Care starting pitchers, non-surgical treatment of prostate cancer. Visit InnovaCC.com.
Time for Jorge De La Rosa. We mentioned it in our open. He's been the rock for Colorado. 242 batting average against left-handers, hitting 190. That's why whether you take the switch hitter and Victor Martinez out, there's only one left-hander, and that's Avila in the lineup for Brad today because of that batting average against.
Davis, as I mentioned, 5 for 9 in the series. Got the batting average up over 300 now. And the sunglasses tell me that he thinks there's a lot of glare too. Jorge, always a little deliberate. Some of these guys have seen De La Rosa before, either from previous action in interleague play, or some of the veteran guys just saw Jorge when he was an American League pitcher. Little pop-up. LeMahieu wants it, and DJ's got it.
Smart call from DJ to go back because it wasn't that deep. Just call off the outfielder immediately.
Here's the rest of the Rockies defense, brought to you by XL Energy. Visit responsiblebynature.com today to learn more. Jason Pridey's first start as a Rocky in left, Brandon Barnes in right. The infield the same as we have seen since Tulo's injury, and Moline, after playing first base last night, back behind the plate, the battery mate for De La Rosa. Ian Kinsler, Tigers second baseman, has gone 5 for 8 in the series, and Pridey, fighting that glare, is able to handle it for out number 2.
Yeah, welcome back to the big leagues, Jason Pridey. This ball was scalded with some topspin on it. Toughest ball to judge for an outfielder. What do I do? Do I have to come get it? Yeah. And then as it's sinking down towards the knees, how do you turn your glove? Is it up or is it down? Where do you go? But Jason played that perfectly.
A couple of quick outs for De La Rosa. Now he deals with Miguel Cabrera.
It's always nice to deal with Cabrera with nobody on.
Hit a 445-foot home run last night, longest at Comerica Park this year, one of the longer ones in baseball this season. His 17th.
382 in his career. And last night we were mentioning how deep it is to center field. Well, he didn't miss a cut fastball from Tyler Matzik.
That was Paul Egan's University of Georgia home run between the hedges.
There's somebody outside the hotel yesterday with the Georgia cap on. He immediately went over and talked to him.
Yeah, there was a connection.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I have to go talk to that guy with the Georgia cap.
Well, Paul got me up Friday morning as he had never seen the big house in Ann Arbor, so we had to drive over, which is about 40 minutes from downtown Detroit, to see one of the great football stadiums on a college campus anywhere. Certainly one of the largest. And Jorge was going to be very particular. There's the #1 Georgia Bulldog fan, the Rockies director of operations, Paul Egan's.
Talking about the big house. Yesterday there was a soccer game there, 109,000.
Yeah, most people to ever see a professional soccer game in the United States.
Or football, I guess would be the correct terminology, right? I call it.
Yeah, football with a U.
Sorry.
Football.
Manchester United and who was it?
It was
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid and Man U won. They were staying at our hotel throughout the weekend. Victor Martinez hit a 3-run homer last night, the switch hitter. And it seemed like, at least in De La Rosa's case, not that he's going to be any less careful with Victor. It was almost as if he didn't want any part of Cabrera with 2 outs and nobody on.
Yeah, but the scary thing is for Victor Martinez that he hits .373 against right-handers. So you put an extra guy out there. I know what Jorge's thinking, that you got Cabrera, but Victor Martinez is no slouch, and he's hitting cleanup.
While Jorge hasn't necessarily given up an abundance of runs in the first inning, it is not unusual for De La Rosa to be a little erratic in the first inning as he tries to find his rhythm.
He did it in his last start at Chicago. 11 first inning runs, just 9 of them earned in 22 starts.
Good grab. Jorge with the pick and the toss and the end of the first inning here in Detroit. No score, the Rockies and the Tigres.
Beautiful shots of Comerica Park on this beautiful Sunday. And we welcome you back to the broadcast. Jenny Kavnar with you down in the Rockies dugout. And you talk about who's in left today. Is that Charlie Blackmon out there with the big beard? No, it's Jason Pridey getting his call-up for the first time with Colorado. But he's been in the big leagues before, so I asked him, were you more excited about the call-up or about showing Charlie Blackmon that you have the better beard?
I'd have to say, being in the lineup, I had a little bit of a beard there in spring. I shaved it off because when I got sent down, so he had a nice little jump start on me still, not having to shave it. But, it's funny because a lot of people were saying that when I got up here it was going to be a little comparison and this and that. But, I think we both have pretty nice beards, so we're both doing it all right.
They do both have nice beards, but it's crazy because Pridey had to start his all over again, so I think he has a little room there on Charlie Blackmon. But again, Pridey has played for now 5 different Major League teams. This is his 126th game as Justin Morneau pops out. We'll send it back up to you guys.
All right, Jenny, thank you very much. I think that it tells us that Jason Pridey was probably that guy in high school when you were a freshman and you looked over and said, my gosh, that guy looks like he's 25 because he was shaving when you didn't have a single whisker on your chin.
Right, and for Jason Pridey, he went to Prescott High School up in the Prescott Valley just north of Phoenix, about 70, 80 miles just over the hill from where I went to school in Cottonwood. We were rivals. We used to play them all the time. Of course, I was a few years prior.
Just a couple, though,
Just
right?
two, three, 10 or 15. I don't know.
2 quick strikes on Drew Stubbs from Sanchez, who's been pounding the strike zone for the most part here.
We talked about it last inning, and the numbers I was getting at is a 175 batting average against the first time through, 225 the second, but then it jumps to 288 the third time.
And just like that, he gets his 3rd strikeout, first of the called variety. I also think, too, as you look at the Tiger uniforms, a little bit like the Dodgers, although the Dodgers are the whitest uniforms I think I've ever seen. But these guys, again, it's almost like it's a brilliant white that plays well in the daytime in terms of adding to the glare.
Well, you also have to give some credit to their clubhouse guys to keep them that white.
That's it. Jason Pridey's first bat this season in the big leagues. That's a strike.
For Pridey, he is the 46th player used by the Rockies this season. The most was 55 in 2011.
Jason, a guy who has had very good minor league numbers. You saw his big league numbers in the 100+ games he's played in the big leagues. What he did this year with Colorado Springs. Good breaking ball that time by Sanchez. He gets ahead. He's done that to every hitter, although he did go to a full count before getting Nolan Arenado out on a check swing. A long run for Martinez, and he'll not get there. Sure, and tweet us your questions using the hashtag Toyota Talk. And as we move into the 5th inning, watch as we answer some of your questions. We do that during the 5th inning of every game. That's Toyota Talk. They tried to stump us, but we had the professor Doug Marino with us.
It's like that phone a friend.
Yep.
We can ask Doug in just 15-20 seconds to provide the answer.
When I go on Jeopardy, I'm going to have you signaling me, Doug, okay, from the audience?
I don't think they can do that. They can't hand you a note or make hand signs.
Got another strikeout. Boy, that was a nice sinker away. And for Sanchez, 4 punch-outs already. Detroit. And let's take time now for the Coors Light Cold Hard Fact. And last night, the Tigers joined a select group of American League teams to score in all 8 innings of a 9-inning game. No American League club has ever done all 9 innings. The Rockies have the distinction of being a club that has done that. They scored in all 9 innings in May of '99 at Wrigley against the Cubs. A little bit of a gap. How about that from 49 to 98?
Well, yeah, you had the longest game in Wrigley Field history just last week. So you stay in this game long enough, there's always going to be something that pops up, and you just wonder, wow, that's never happened before.
That one surprised me this week. I would have thought in the 100 years that they've been playing at Wrigley, at some point they would have gone more than 6.5 hours. This will be a relatively easy chance with that first step reaction of Nolan Arenado, and he gets Torrey Hunter.
Go back to the last start for De La Rosa, and that was a start against the Chicago Cubs, in which he received a no decision but went 118 pitches. Just 6 hits given up. Gave up the runs early, as you referenced, Jack, but then just started to mow him down after that.
That was the game.
Outs.
That was the game that went another game after Jorge departed in the 7th. It went to 16 innings. But he gave the Rockies a chance when he was on tenuous footing early in the game, that he just sort of bowled his neck and just forced his way deeper into the game.
Still went to 6 innings. Might have been a struggle, but just look at that body of work. This 5th straight quality start.
You know, and it's the reason why, or one of, I shouldn't say the reason, one of a number of reasons why his value is so important to the Rockies, probably more than a lot of other clubs. His ability to be tough, his ability to pitch at Coors Field and enjoy the process, to have many more wins at Coors Field than any place else.
41-14 at Coors Field. Even this year, he's 7-2 with the .323 at home, compared to 4-4 with the 5 out on the road.
Stays ahead of ball and 2 strikes on J.D. Martinez.
He's also second all-time in wins, trailing just Aaron Cook. 6 more wins, he'll tie him.
Got him. Oh, what a good pitch that was.
And a good block from Moline.
Jorge started to walk off. I think he thought this was out number 3.
Well, and that was a split finger. And that pitch for Jorge, when he's on and working ahead, is the devastating one. Just grip it between the fingers, throw it like a fastball, let the ball just do the work.
And you could see that was a great angle by our crew here. You could see that ball looked about right at the knees for 56, 57 feet and then disappeared.
And as a hitter, you know when you start to swing, I'm in trouble. Because you can't make the adjustment that late in the path of the ball.
Rookie third baseman Nick Castellanos hitting about 40 points higher here at home than his overall average. And sometimes that's not unexpected from a rookie's perspective, as you look for some kind of comfort zone. Nice to have the familiar surroundings. A lot of times he's going to places for the very first time.
That's hard when you step in the box, and even batting practice is different than the game. So you're in there, you're saying, where's the ball coming from? And it takes 2 or 3, 4 times sometimes when you go to a ballpark to feel comfortable. And there's some parks you just don't feel comfortable your whole career. Whatever, it's just a setup. It doesn't seem right. I always thought Fenway Park. I always thought the plate was off from the mound.
Oh, really?
Eyeballing it, it didn't seem right.
2-1 to Castellanos.
Oh, don't miss the action when the Cubs make their only 2014 appearance at Coors Field, August 5th through the 7th. Get your tickets today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 2 night games and then a day game on Thursday before the Rockies head back out on the road.
3-1 to Castellanos. Good pitch, full count. It's interesting you made that comment, Jeff, about Fenway, because I think there's a lot of aspects of that park that's a little askew.
I think that's one of those parks that's.
Oh, Arenado, does he have the arm? He does. Oh, flashing the Gold Glove credentials. Nolan Arenado takes a hit away from Nick Castellanos. We've played 2, no score in Detroit. On a beauty. Play. Time for you to tweet us your Rockies fan photos using the hashtag #COFanPhoto. That'll give you a chance to have it shown during an upcoming broadcast. The CO Fan Photos brought to us by AT&T. I can't.
Those are, I think you said one from the boat.
Yeah, I think those are boats on the Detroit River between Lake Huron and Lake Erie. Bottom third against Sanchez. Moline played first base last night after catching on Friday. And again, with the day off tomorrow, it made it easier to get guys in the lineup today and not worry about getting them a little bit of rest. Tomorrow will take care of that. All we'll have to worry about will be the bowling with cargo.
Yeah, don't slip.
Yeah. Walk to the foul line and
roll it like a little. Yeah.
Like
Can you put the bumpers up for me too?
I'm a DJ LeMahieu bowler, inside out. I mean, seriously, it's I watch people hook the ball.
I can't do that. Yeah. Just hope my thumb doesn't get stuck in that.
3-1, first 3-1 count in the early going for Sanchez. fastball with good movement to it. Runs the count full.
Well, Lane was talking about Rick Porcello last night, the movement that he had on the ball. Whether he was cutting it away or sinking it in. So it made him so hard to try to distinguish any sort of pattern.
Now, it was during your time frame, Jeff, as you were coming up and then playing in the big leagues, that the splitter became the pitch of the day, if you will.
Right.
And then while it's still used, not to the extent it was then, because there was talk you lose velocity on your other fastball, a little more of an issue in terms of the elbow. Will the cutter have the same kind of shelf life, or is this going to be something that's going to hang around a little longer?
I think it might hang around a little longer because you don't have to turn your wrist over. I don't think it puts the torque on the elbow that the split finger did. You just slide your fingers over and then just let the ball come off the fingers naturally. But there's always something. I mean, we could, 10 years from now, we're going to be talking about some other pitch. It's kind of the pitch of the decade.
The decade, yep.
Well, was it Bruce Sutter that probably made that the most famous, the split finger?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably one of the pioneers. I always think of Mike Scott and Jack Morris here, of course, with the Tigers.
Mike Scott might have been doing a little bit more besides just splitting the fingers. And
why? Because he had flesh-colored sandpaper on the inside of one finger?
I'm just saying.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Tried to time it. Watch the arm of Suarez. Just in time.
Well, it's just 3 games now I've been able to watch Suarez, and from a former middle infielder's perspective, he does everything correctly. I mean, whether it's just a routine ground ball, he'll bring the hands up to the middle and just shuffle and go. This one, he plants his right foot, so he has enough leverage to push off there, and then the strong throw. You know you're going to catch it somewhere deep onto the grass. So he catches it right over the top. That makes sure that the ball stays straight. He doesn't drop the elbow at all and sink it over to first.
7 straight for Sanchez. Well, if Eugenio Suarez is smart, and the young man certainly appears to be, having Omar Vizquel working with you every day, you couldn't help but get better at the position.
Well, and with all the Gold Gloves that he's won.
Yep.
Now, you and I mentioned this as we were coming to Detroit. Just for Vizquel and Robbie Alomar when they were with Cleveland, I don't think there was a better duo together as far as how easy they made the play look.
Yeah, for me, in 3 decades plus of covering baseball, they were the best 2 I've ever seen. Now, granted, I got to see them every day. There's going to be the first hit of the afternoon as Brandon Barnes got it over the head of Kinsler. Because Robbie Alomar, maybe a little bit like DJ, different style because he was much flashier, but Robbie had all the tools of a shortstop in terms of range and strength in the throwing arm and all of that. But then with Omar, the pairing, it really enabled them to kind of go from hole to hole and still get double plays.
Well, I don't know how many hits they took away from me, but there was plenty. But those guys, it was like, I'm going to try to outdo whatever you just did because I can do it better.
Now, Omar, as we talked a little last night if you were with us, Omar Vizquel and last night's honoree, Pudge Rodriguez, will both be eligible for the Hall in 2017. If they both go in that year, it might be one of the great classes of all time in terms of defensive skills. DJ played Friday night, and Walt thought DJ was grinding a little bit, but has him back in there today after the night off last night.
players, they need a mental break every once in a while. And I think that's what Charlie Blackmon's getting today. Just a mental break. You go out there and you're competing so hard each and every night. And especially for Charlie, I mean, going to the All-Star game for the first time and then really not having any downtime since then.
Well, let's look here at a moment at the Steel T Heating and Air Cool Stat. Never a trip charge for repair. That's a $69 value. Steel T, the T stands for trust. Go to steelt.com. And DJ, the two-time high school player of the year here in Michigan at Brother Rice. And I think you have playing here plus playing against the team that traded him. Runner was going, and that will keep the Rockies out of the double play as DJ is retired by Suarez. But think about it from a mental point of view for LeMahieu. You want to play well against the team that traded you, and then you come to your high school hometown. They moved around his family, but this is where he really established his baseball credentials.
Yeah, you always want to try to sometimes do more than what you're capable of doing. Well, DJ's just 1 for 20 on the road trip. Part of it, as you mentioned, in Chicago, but here you have the ticket demands and all the people that want to see you do the interviews and so forth. It's also a grind, the long season. These are always what we call the dog days when you get to the 1st of August.
And unfortunately from the Rockies' perspective, because through the injuries and the like, they're not playing well, and I think you really, I would guess, Jeff, have to fight through the dog days.
You do. I mean, that does wear on you. I mean, everybody, you go out there, first and foremost, you want to compete. But secondly, you want to win. And when you don't, it does start to eat at you.
Dickerson, a strikeout victim his first time up. Corey probably going through a little bit of the grind right now. This is the most extensive stretch of big league games for Dickerson.
Well, for Corey too, now there's starting to be a book on you. What pitches can you handle? Which ones do you have trouble with? And so you have to make the adjustments that the pitchers have made.
Yeah, it's your turn to counterpunch.
Yes.
Rockies have the first man in scoring position in this ball game, trying to take the early lead. And we have seen Sanchez get much more deliberate here with a man on. If you have auto glass damage, trust SafeLight. Go online to safelight.com or call 303-287-5000 to schedule an appointment now. Rockies with the lowest winning percentage on the road and just 17 victories away from home. 1-2 pitch is cued towards third. Castellanos will get Dickerson, and the Rockies are retired. Middle of 3, no score at Comerica.
Well, the manager of the Detroit Tigers in his first year, Brad Ausmus, he has a connection to the Colorado Rockies. He was drafted in the expansion draft, spent just about a half a season before being traded, and it was a trade that surprised him.
I was caught off guard. It wasn't like today where they have Twitter or Facebook and players find out before they're told by their organization. I was with the Sky Sox. I think we were in Canada. I can't remember where. Edmonton, Canada, I believe. And Brad Mills, who's the bench coach now for the Cleveland Indians, was the manager, and he called me in the office and said I had been traded to the San Diego Padres along with Andy Ashby and Doug Bachler, who were also in AAA with me at the time.
Well, it was a trade that changed the path of his major league career. He would go on and make his debut as a San Diego Padre. But time now for our all-copy fun fact. As we mentioned, Ausmus was the Rockies' 27th pick in the 1992 expansion draft from the Yankees. He happened to play AAA level with the Sky Sox, 76 games in 1993 before being traded on July 26th of 1993 to the San Diego Padres. Guys?
And I'm happy to say, too, he's an Ivy Leaguer.
Dartmouth.
That's it.
The interesting thing, he didn't play baseball for Dartmouth. He went to school as he was playing down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, and he was from New England. He grew up in, ironically, too, born in New Haven, where Yale is, but went to Dartmouth. But you're right, he signed with the Yankees as a high schooler and then went to Dartmouth in the offseason. He has his degree, a Bachelor's of Arts in government was his degree at Dartmouth.
That's it?
Yep. Well, you got to govern in that dugout. One ball, one strike, the count on Alex Avila, leading off the Tigers' third.
For Alex, he had a couple of the big hits last night early in the game with the 2-out RBIs.
Another opportunity for De La Rosa ahead in the count to use some of his assorted tricks, whether it's the splitter or the
he likes the slider. Yeah, he likes the slider more towards the left-handers, where he can start it on the inner third and take it off the plate away.
You can hear in the crowd mics a little bit that the wind has picked up a tad. Blowing, I would guess you'd say that the flagpole out there in center, left center, kind of blowing in towards the first base dugout maybe, and then at times blowing out towards right.
Sometimes with the stands, it's circular, so you're not sure in which direction it's really going.
Count is evened on Avila. We'll have Suarez and Davis also scheduled in this third inning.
So right now it's blowing from left center to right center. A great shot from our DirecTV blimp.
Tigers start the day with a 5-game advantage over second place Kansas City in the Central Division. This will be an easy chance for DJ. LeMahieu takes care of the Tigers catcher, and I tell you what, you watch Alex Avila run, you can tell he's a catcher now. He's running like it's August, and I've been catching a lot of games.
Yeah, those knees don't feel good.
Time for the McDonald's McCafe pitch menu. Now at McDonald's you can enjoy a sweet creamy McCafe iced coffee.
With the fastball, that includes both the 2-seam and the 4-seam variety. When he throws his 2-seamer, tries to cut it, it's at 87 to 88 miles an hour. The changeup and the slider is an out pitch. He's really gone away from the curveball, only throws it 3% of the time. And he's put that in his back pocket ever since he's come back from Tommy John surgery.
Well, and the other pitches have been effective enough that there
you don't need it.
Hasn't been the need. Suarez has had a pretty good series, 3 for 8. Played well defensively. We've talked about that already here this afternoon. 22-year-old out of Venezuela. Arenado, can he do it again? This will be for the highlight reel. Suarez looking up already at the scoreboard to see what happened.
All he has to know is he hit it in the general direction of Nolan, and it's going to be an out. So for Nolan, averaging almost 2.73 assists per game, which leads all Major League third basemen, 3 today, and none prettier than that one.
I marvel at the variety of angles that he is at where he is on target with his throw.
And then have to throw from his knees or almost from his backside. To have the arm strength to get it all the way across the diamond. It's all about first step quickness. So Nolan's down, he stays low, he dives. The other issue you have a lot of times when you dive, and especially during day games because they water the field so much, when you dive you get mud on your hand.
Rajai Davis is going to get the first hit for the Tigers. He's thinking 2, and he's in there. That's knowing your ballpark. Davis saw that Drew Stubbs had to run far enough that he wouldn't get a lot on the throw. Never hesitated and gets a 2-base hit.
Well, the other thing, too, is you have Josh at shortstop. He's not lined up correctly to second base. He's off the mark. So Rajai Davis takes off, and so Josh kind of peeks over his corner, over his shoulder, but look how he's not lined up. It should be more of a direct line between Drew and then the second baseman.
Again, unfamiliarity with the park?
A little bit, and it could be also that throw cut over to that side.
So the Tigers have a 2-out opportunity. The Rockies had one with Barnes on base.
Davis going around first base, he hesitated. Most of the time when you hesitate, you're going to be out, but not for Davis. He has the speed to overcome that.
You get a good 2-out hitter in Kinsler, who's 5th in the American League in hits overall with 130. Get a topspin liner to Pridey in left field his first time up.
I saw Ian play back in junior college at Central Arizona. He went there with my nephew Tim Houston. Tim was in Ian's wedding. So I've seen this kid kind of grow up from junior college ball to the big leagues and just see the progression of him and how far he's come. And now he's a 4-time All-Star.
Yeah, very good trade engineered by Dave Dombrowski, getting Kinsler for Prince Fielder. This will hook foul.
And then Prince ends up going on the DL for the first time in his career with the neck issue.
Yeah, you know, Prince had played all those games in a row, but at least in the appearance, the silhouette of the body type, it gave you pause as to think, well, when is there going to be an injury issue with Fielder?
Prince, 42 games, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs.
Ball hit Kinsler. Davis was moving down to third, but that pitch, trying to work it inside on Kinsler, got it too far in and hit him. On a 1-2 pitch, and you get Cabrera as the reward. Not what Georgie wanted. Subaru brings you the manager's challenge. If there's a questionable call during today's game, instant replay will be used to determine the outcome. It's brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. Number 2 RBI man in the American League. Well into the upper 300s with runners in scoring position. As big a challenge as you're going to get in this Tigers lineup. they fooled him going soft for strike one.
That's how you, yeah, and you have to pitch Cabrera backwards. You can't say, well, if it's an even count, I'm going to throw fastballs. If I'm ahead, you can't do that. If you're behind in the count, it's something soft, off speed, whether it's the split or the slider. Try to double up occasionally on it, but don't fall into any sort of pattern where he'll pick it up. The one issue that Jorge has had out on the road this year is with runners in scoring position. 306 average against. At home, a mere 123.
As you saw in the graphic, only Jose Abreu with more RBIs than Cabrera, and he's going to add to the total right there. Breaking ball hit into center field for an RBI single, and the Tigers take the lead.
Again, all with 2 outs. Some guys just have that knack. Miguel Cabrera is one of them.
Well, and it's a veteran team. I mean, even if fans don't know as much about Rajai Davis, the top 5 guys in this lineup all have close to double-digit years, if not past it, in the big leagues.
Think about all the plate appearances, the at-bats that they have produced. Rajai, too. Also, think about taking that extra base with 2 outs just to get an immediate scoring position. That makes how you pitch Kinsler different.
You end up with the hit batsman to force you to face Cabrera, and now you get Martinez. I mean, some of them, in the case of Cabrera, you would still call younger veterans. I mean, Cabrera at 31 years of age, but we're talking 10, 11 years in the big leagues. He came up when he was 19. That's a lot of plate appearances. Did he get enough of this? Friday's at the wall. He did for the 2nd day in a row. A 3-run homer for Victor Martinez, and the Tigers lead it 4-0. That's been the other road issue for De La Rosa. He has given up 14 home runs on the year and more than half on the road.
And 13 of them have been to a right-handed hitter. And Victor Martinez went down and got this one. This is a carbon copy of the one he hit last night. Same place.
Yep. Right in the same spot. 65 RBIs now for Martinez. So 2 outs, nobody on, and 4 in a row reach, and they all score. Tigers are going out on the road for a challenging trip, and they're trying to use this series to build the momentum before they go to New York for a 4-gamer with the Yankees, then 3 with Toronto, and 2 with Pittsburgh before they come back home.
11 games over 500 out on the road at 31-20. It doesn't seem to be an issue, but when you're playing your first 2 series against division opponents.
Yeah, with the way Toronto has played this year, they are 7 games above 500 at home. The Yankees, ironically, are under 500 at home.
And I meant division opponents as far as Toronto and New York being in the same division.
Right,
not
not against the Tigers.
Right.
3-1 on Torrey Hunter. talked about it last night for the Rockies with the all left-handed rotation right now. Outside of Avila and flipping Victor Martinez to bat left-handed, the Tigers want to face southpaws.
This is the 19th straight game for the Rockies that they've started a left-handed pitcher.
And he comes back and strikes out Hunter, but the damage has been done. Cabrera and Martinez at it again for Detroit. The home of free checking is proud to support the home team. Sign up at efirstbank.com. Tigers get 4 runs with 2 outs in that 3rd inning, and much as they did last night, taking the lead for good in the early innings with those clutch 2-out hits. And Jeff and I were talking about it between innings. From the Rockies' perspective, their Cabrera, their Martinez, their Hunter, in the persons of Tulowitzki, Gonzalez, and Kadire aren't available, and it makes it all that much more difficult to score enough runs.
Well, it does, because you're missing your 3, 4, and 5 hitters basically. I mean, I know Cuddy hits second, but he's hit anywhere from 3rd, 4th, 5th. He's an RBI guy. Of course, Troy and Cargo are 3 and 4 usually. But you would take those 3 guys out of any lineup. Yep. I don't care what team in the major leagues, you miss them because they're run producers.
And not just for a game or two. When it happens over several weeks to a month, in Cuddy's case for 2 months, it has a psychological impact as much as the physical reality.
Well, there's a reason why some guys can hit in that spot and why other guys can't, and they're 6th, 7th, 8th place hitters, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're in the big leagues, you're doing your thing, but then you're asking them to do something else more than they're capable of doing.
It's the beauty of this game for me, is that your talent puts you in a slot, and when you have the right mix of talent for the appropriate slots, that's what produces good teams.
Well, how come every spring training, what are managers, before they go to spring training, what do they do in the offseason? Already constructing their lineups. How's everybody going to fit? So you go there, and there's 5 or 6 different scenarios of who hits where.
And the more often you can have your lineup stay the same. We've seen this weekend with the Tigers, outside of flipping the catcher in game 1, it's been the same lineup in the same order all 3 games. Sanchez, meanwhile, has punched out 5 already in the game.
I do think that's easier to do in the American League than it is in the National League. With the pitcher spot, maybe having to have a double switch the game before. In the American League, it's easier to roll out your lineup night after night after night.
Well, let me throw it out at you because I've never asked you, at least not on the air anyhow, Jeff. I mean, you had a lot of time in the American League, most of your big league career in that regard, and here first as an instructor and now as a broadcaster in the National League. Should we play with one set of rules?
I think so. I mean, I don't know what other sport plays with two different sets of rules.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have I always equate it to saying, okay, in football, so you have the AFC and the NFC. Well, the AFC, the quarterbacks have to kick the extra points. In the NFC, you have a designated kicker, or vice versa. It doesn't matter however you want to play it. That doesn't happen.
Arenado on the easy fly ball. Okay,
so one more.
I know you're tap dancing here a little bit on me.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, though, do you think that whoever Shaquille O'Neal played for, they wouldn't have liked to have a designated free throw shooter?
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, I'm in agreement with you. So now then it leads to the second question.
No DH.
Which set of rules? Okay, you're the no DH.
And you're not going to lose a. You know, I think the union's always saying, well, you'll lose a player per se. A spot. Well, there's only a couple true DHs anymore: Big Papi and Victor Martinez.
Yeah, you're right in that regard, and I know there had been at least some talk when people speculated on that would be perhaps you add players to the roster. It's the idea I like. Granted, it's travel issues and all that. There's another Rocky that. Sanchez, this case Morneau, Sanchez gets to chase that pitch up and out of the zone. Of maybe having a 28 or 30 man roster, and then you designate the 25 who are going to play that night.
I like that idea, and I think in the long run it might save you some DL trips.
That's exact, because you could sit there and manipulate. Obviously you couldn't say, all right, well, I'm going to take my other 4 starting pitchers and that'll give me.
You have to keep 4 starters on that.
You'd have to have some structure to it, but to me I think it would allow teams in terms of bullpens and keeping position players fresher and create another strategy level for the managers to say, okay, who am I going to make my active guys for this game?
Sure. Well, again, all these great. That's what's fun about baseball, is being able to say, would you tweak a rule here? Would you look at doing something there? You know, a lot of people were thinking Bud Selig. What are you thinking when you're adding an extra wild card?
And everybody's grown to love it. Yep. From the first wild card to now the second one, took a little while for the purists, and yeah, that might be a way to determine from the DH perspective. Sanchez is on a roll. He's allowed just 1 hit through the first 4, and the Tigers looking pretty solid here in the early innings. On Root Sports is brought to you by the Ford Fusion. Power you want and good looks too. Ford, go further. By Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers, get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets today by going to wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Wells Fargo Bank, member FDIC. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Jorge De La Rosa gave up the 4 spot in the 3rd inning, trying to regain form, starting with J.D. Martinez, who was a strikeout victim for Georgie first time up. De La Rosa with 2 strikeouts. Tigers with a lot of clutch hitting last night. A 4-run 2-out rally here this afternoon to take the advantage. This hit pretty well. Friday at the wall is going to get out number 1. Good job.
Tracked that well.
Yep. I was going to say, Jeff, it was high enough that he made the smart play.
What was good is he was able to practice that yesterday during batting practice, because Rockies didn't have batting practice out on the field, but he went out there, tracked how many step it is from the warning track to the wall, and he played that nicely. And get to the ballpark early on Sunday, August 17th, as the first 15,000 receive a Retire 17 bobblehead in home, courtesy of Coca-Cola. Gates will open 2 hours prior to game time, and be in your seats to witness the first ever jersey retirement ceremony in Rockies history.
Todd Helton getting that distinguished honor. It'll be fun to see 17 all weekend at the ballpark. Castellanos robbed of a hit by Arenado first time up. Nolan's made several wonderful plays already in the game. Castellanos, high school star, drafted right out of high school by the Tigers down in Florida, Davie, Florida. I'm trying to remember where Davie, Florida is. Isn't it around Orlando?
It's the same.
I mean, it's Central Florida, isn't it?
Not big.
Well, I'll put Professor Marino on it. Get us some geography on Davie, Florida.
No, it's the same town that J.D. Martinez went to college in. Nova Southeastern.
Southeastern, though, tells us not much. So, okay, so it could still be Central Florida, because they have South Florida and Tampa, which I always find very interesting. I guess technically it's not up in the Panhandle.
You know, it's down in Broward County. It's just south,
it is?
yeah, down
okay,
towards Miami.
Towards in the Lauderdale area. Okay.
Just west of the Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood area. Off the Florida Turnpike and 595.
You're telling me about 90,000? Is that what this is, Doug? Okay. Population around 90,000. The nexus of higher education in South Florida. I like that description. Use words like that, well, you have to throw the hanky. Illegal use of the thesaurus. Full count here on Castellanos. Rockies with the off day, as we said, tomorrow, and then the brief homestand, the 3 games with the Cubs. Brett Anderson will pitch on Tuesday. In all likelihood, Jordan Lyles will come off the DL and work on Wednesday.
Snap the streak of the left-handers.
Yeah, they'll if Doug has the mark, I know. So Tuesday will be 20 straight, which I think equals the Rockies, or is that baseball? That's baseball's record for consecutive starts by southpaws.
The Royals had that mark, 1982.
And he gets him. Good pitch by Georgie, the battle, and he gets Castellanos for his 3rd strikeout. Okay, so 82, 19 in a row. Well, Bud Black had to be part of that, I would think. Charlie Leibrandt. Of course, they might have been in a 4-man rotation and gone through 4+ times.
That was just towards the end of that 4-man rotation when guys say they started to move to the 5-man.
Right. We'll put Professor Marino on that one too.
The sparks are flying off those fingers as he's working the computer.
Avila with an easy pop. Coming in, Jason Pridey. 2 down here, and make it 3 as that takes care of the Tigers in the 4th. Rockies trail this one.
Nothing lead over Colorado. Well, it was the Los Tigres celebration here at the ballpark this weekend, and the star of that show, Ivan Rodriguez Pudge, the old catcher here in Detroit. He had some pointers for the young catcher in Wilin Rosario for the Rockies.
I love to watch games, and in the house I watch a lot of games, and basically I just working with, I just telling him my little things that I see, as far as when he's squatting down, and just to keep the elbow away from his left knee a little bit so he can be more relaxed behind the plate, and don't get jamming his left thumb a little bit, and but basically that was about it.
Well, for Wilin Rosario, he said it was like a kid that could see a present right in front of him. He just couldn't wait to open it. Wilin said growing up that Pudge was his hero, and to get to shake hands with him and meet him in person for the first time, and on top of that, get some tips. It was a pretty special day for Wilin Rosario, guys.
Well, you forget, thank you, Jenny, you forget that every big leaguer was the little boy at one point who had a baseball hero.
I happened to be downstairs today. I was talking with Wilin in the coffee shop, and he was still mentioning, hey, Pudge Rodriguez, and I got to meet him yesterday, and then he was my hero and all that. So even 24 hours later, it's still fresh in his mind, and still like the kid that gets that present and open it up, and it's still as good as what you thought it was going to be.
2 quick strikes on Drew Stubbs as Sanchez has lived up to his MO, dominating in the early innings, and he gets Drew again. That's strikeout number 6 for the Tigers right-hander. Well, we get that every time, well, when he used to travel to Denver, and now certainly when we go to Los Angeles to play the Dodgers. For all of us who are broadcasters in general and baseball broadcasters more specifically, any time you spend with Vin Scully is, to me, like getting that Christmas present.
Exactly. And then when we used to come to Detroit before the late great Ernie Harwell passed away.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Ernie because he was in his prime when I broke in to big league baseball. I loved listening to Ernie, listened to him as a kid, and then to spend time with him once. To be called a contemporary, it's like, well, I can't be a contemporary to not to Ernie or not to Vin. One to count on Jason Pridey.
You and I were talking about the Old Tiger Stadium. Yeah, because I just remember standing in the box at Old Tiger Stadium, the way the announcers were, it's almost like they were on top of you, and I'd be in the box and there wasn't many fans. You could hear them talking, and so I could hear Ernie through my helmet, so I'd step out for a second just so I could listen to him and then get back in the box.
There were two things that Ernie did in his broadcast, among many superlatives, but two that always stood out for me. Full count now on Friday. On foul balls, when a fan would catch it without knowing, and people for years thought, well, how does he know that? And that ball caught by a fan from Livonia, and they'd be, wow, or all the way over from Grand Rapids to snag that souvenir. And because it was just, and Ernie told me, he says, well, I'm taking care of all of our affiliates on the radio network so that somebody would say, hey, they were talking about Grand Rapids. Clint Hurdle, the former Rockies manager and the manager of the Pirates, of course, grew up in Big Rapids, which is kind of in west central Michigan, and he said he was his dad was a Yankees fan, but he became a Tigers fan just because he was listening to Ernie. And there's another punch out for Sanchez, and the strikeout gives me the other one for Ernie when somebody would take a called third strike. Ernie would say, and he stood there like a signpost on the side of the road. In that beautiful of southern syrupy, Lindsey Nelson, Red Barber, Ernie Harwell.
But you could just talk to him like anybody. It was just so genuine.
Dan Dickerson, who is the radio voice of the Tigers and a Michigan native, and he ended up working a couple of years with Ernie before Harwell retired, and he talked about the last game at Tiger Stadium in the 1999 season, and Jim Price, who still works on the Tiger side, former Tigers catcher, was going down to the field. There's Jimmy Price and Dan Dickerson to the right, Jim to the left.
Jim without the sunglasses.
Yeah, Jim went down to the field, and so Dan, who was a pre and post game guy, ground ball to third. I'll have to finish the story at the bottom of the inning, but it is vintage Ernie Harwell. Halfway through this one, the Tigers, behind strong pitching from Anibal Sanchez, have the lead. Rockies Weekly. This week we visit with DJ LeMahieu. Tag along with Adam Ottavino as he snaps pics of Wrigley Field and get to know starter Tyler Matzek. It's all the best moments of the week from Chicago and Detroit today after the game on Rockies Weekly. Once again, great aerial shots from the blimp from DirecTV. We thank DirecTV for providing some great shots, and yes indeed they have a carousel in the ballpark here at Comerica.
I missed that.
You might be overage.
Okay.
Huey. Suarez, Davis, and Kinsler in the fifth against Jorge De La Rosa.
Oh, now I see where that carousel was located. Just didn't come in that direction.
That's why.
That's why I missed it.
And to quickly finish my Ernie Harwell story. So it's the final game of Tiger Stadium. Hall of Famer Ernie Harwell and all that, his final broadcast. And Dan is just in there to provide some company for the final 3 innings. He was not going to do any play-by-play. And Ernie said, do you want to do some play-by-play? And he said, I had never done a major league game before. And he said, Ernie, it's your last game at Tiger Stadium. He says, no, it'll be fun. I'll introduce you to the crowd. And so he does an inning of the final 3 games for Ernie Harwell at Tiger Stadium. This should be routine out in right field for Brandon Barnes, and it is. And for those of us who had the privilege to know Ernie, it is so typically him, the humble nature of who he was, that a young broadcaster, he let share the spotlight when there was no reason for him to have to do it.
Deflected off of him.
Time for our Toyota Talk questions from you. Hashtag Toyota Talk as we play Stump the Professor with Dr. Marino and Jeff and myself. Can the Tigers win the World Series?
Well, right now they are tied as far as odds are out of Vegas with the Oakland A's.
I think the question right now is they'll need Joe Nathan and Jabba Chamberlain and Joakim Soria to get together, because the bullpen has hurt the Tigers the last several years. Nolan fighting the sun. They finally get Rajay Davis.
And this year their ERA is 28th in baseball. So that's a concern for me if I'm sitting there in that dugout. But who knows, with their starting pitcher, you might not need to get to that bullpen.
Yeah, Brad might be able to mix and match much better. Of course, it's been 30 years since the Tigers have won the World Series, when they beat the Padres back in 1984. Kinsler hit by a pitch and a part of the 4-run 3rd inning rally. Do you think there should be more interleague in exchange for less interdivision games? I think they mean intra-division games. This time Nolan can't take a hit away, and Kinsler will hold with a single. He's made so many good plays today. You know, for me, I would. I don't want more interleague games.
No.
I want more interdivision games.
Yes.
I want to see more games against the National League East and Central.
Remember how it used to be?
Where it was more balanced.
Yeah, more the balanced schedule. I like that. I'd like to go back to that. But I don't think there should be any more interleague games. I think there's enough there.
You look, for example, in the Rockies division there, that you play 19 times against the other 4 teams. If you played 15 times, for example, there's 16 more games that you could. Oh, they had Kinsler caught in between, but he was able to get back. That right there would give you the chance for 5 additional series in the NL East and Central, and you could tweak it a little more to do whatever. Because when Jeff played and when I first broke in, I mean, you'd go in the American League, for example, you'd go to each town twice. And they'd come to your place twice.
Yeah, I like that schedule.
There are wonderful aspects of interleague. The other side that I would do, I agree with Tracy Ringlesby. I would have the games this weekend played under National League rules, where the pitchers had to hit, and then I'd flip it in the National League ballparks where you'd have the DH. Let the fans have a different perspective. They're used to this. They come here and see Victor Martinez DH.
Yeah, because not everybody is fortunate to be able to go to a ballpark, an opposing ballpark. Cowboy filling in on radio today. You notice even with the Cowboy hat on, he has to put the headset behind so it doesn't interfere.
Well, nothing's going to interfere with the hat. Come on.
He just got done with Cheyenne Frontier Days a week ago today.
Give another question here on Toyota Talk. Why do they use the goalie mask and some the traditional mask?
I just think it's personal preference. Pete O'Brien, a long time ago, he's the one that really came out with that hockey style mask after playing in Toronto and seeing the goalies up there wear it. So he said, hey, if it's good enough for them, let's try it in baseball. And so you'll see it about 50% of the time. And it's not only with the catchers, it's with the umpires.
Yeah, you're right. There are some umpires that are using that style now. 2-2 the count on Cabrera.
Both of the guys today are using the two-piece.
Yeah, and some who don't like the hockey style say it's hotter. Yet I think between wearing the mask and the helmet underneath it, I don't know.
So maybe
you're splitting hairs, I guess.
With the hockey style, your ears don't get to be cooled off because that's just enclosed. I don't know. I've never put either one of those on, nor do I have any desire to, even when I was playing.
I remember in college playing goalie in intramural hockey with the old Phantom of the Opera mask, basically about the best way to describe it. And all that did was keep you from getting cut. Beyond that, not much else. Cabrera had an RBI hit first time. This time Jorge knocks it down. He can't pick it up. The base hit up the middle. No chance first time for De La Rosa, and as so often happens on that ball back up the middle, as a pitcher you're not certain how hard it's been hit, and many times you miss grab, if you will.
Remember the play last night with Tyler Matzik? Same thing. He threw his off towards the third base side. Today, De La Rosa over to the first base line. And as he's going to the line, Miguel Cabrera passes him. So it's a point of, I've got to hurry up and try to make this play, because after I catch it, I'm going to have to arc it over the top of him as he's running down the line, and you just didn't even get the grip on it or get the baseball.
So once again, as they did in the third inning, the Tigers making noise with 2 outs. And the guy at the plate made the loudest bang, a 3-run homer to cap off that 4-run third inning, and Victor Martinez looking to do it again. De La Rosa got him first time up when he hit a ball sharply to the mound, and Jorge made a nice grab.
For the Tigers, are 17-5 when Victor Martinez homers this year, and this was another no doubt from him. Back-to-back days. Both of them are 3-run home runs.
Right over the bullpen area and left into the seats. Good smother job by Rosario. 1 ball, 1 strike on Martinez.
It's all about being able to anticipate where the ball is going when you call for the slider in the dirt. When he did that, he had already kind of started to lean that way and then drop to the knees, roll the shoulders.
Brandon Barnes is there. Well struck, but it's out, number 3. Tigers threaten but don't score, but they lead after 5. Cubs come to Coors Field for 3 games, Tuesday and Wednesday night, right here on Root Sports. Brett Anderson and Jordan Lyles back from the disabled list. We assume that Franklin Morales is going to start Thursday afternoon, and Kyle Hendricks, one of the good young pitching prospects for Chicago, will pitch in that game.
Well, the Rockies saw both Wood and Arrieta in Chicago.
Brandon Barnes has the Rockies' only hit. He is the only base runner allowed by Sanchez so far. Of course, he's had a no-hitter in his career.
He's also had 4 one-hitters.
Brandon with a solid base hit to right field over the head of the second baseman Kinsler, his first time up back in the 3rd inning. Sanchez, obviously, since that's the only base runner, hasn't walked anybody, and he has struck out 7.
His season high for strikeouts is 9. That happened against the A's out in Oakland.
The Ford Strike Zone is powered by Ford Cars. Big MPG, smart technology, and unsurpassed quality. See what happens when fun meets the road. Ford, go further. One ball and 2 strikes. We didn't talk about it a whole lot, Jeff. We talked more about all the pitches he has and the ability to use the 4 quadrants. He also gets that big body twist, probably hides the ball pretty well.
He does. I mean, not quite like a Louis Tion twist, but it does. It throws off the timing for the hitter. Also helps him to gain some velocity when he needs it, because he'll work at 90, 91, but it will dial it up to 95.
2 strikeouts in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, none in the third, excuse me, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, and now 1 here in the 6th. So a season high in punch outs for Sanchez. LeMahieu grounded to short first time up.
There's now 76 strikeouts for Colorado in the 7 games on this road trip.
today of 1-2, 0-2 counts that have really helped out Sanchez.
They have, but also the umpire gets into that rhythm of calling a strike. You know, he just expects it, so he gets there, and any pitch that's close, it's a strike.
Rockies encouraged that Tulo and Michael Kadire have increased their physical activities, not into full-scale baseball work yet, but making progress. And Cargo feeling better today than yesterday. 2-2 now on LeMahieu. That you hope without any setbacks, maybe by the second half of August, the Rockies might actually have the team they expected to have most of the year.
Sure, it'd be nice for Walt when he goes to fill out that lineup card. I know, also for Michael to be able to come back and to get some games in. You want to go into the off season where your mind's already clear.
Regardless of the fact that it's the final year of his contract, I think any player wants that.
Because you want to know that when I go to start my workouts for the following year, that it's all baseball related. It's not rehab first and then baseball later.
Got another one. 9 punch-outs. Time for the injury report, by the way, brought to you by University of Colorado Health. And a blow to the Giants as they battle to maintain contact with the Dodgers. The 2-7 mark there for Matt Cain. I think the bone chips in the elbow probably a factor in that. The guy who was their #1 done for the year.
And he says he'd been in there for a while, but they haven't affected him like they have this year. So his question is, do I get it done now and know that I'll miss the rest of the season, or try to battle through? But I just say you go ahead and get it done and get on the road to recovery. I think any player would say that, no matter who he is.
Sanchez has struck out everybody but Morneau and Rosario. This will be a tough chance. But Suarez dropped it, and it's a fair ball. He touched it on the right side of that foul line, so that's a fair ball. And Dickerson will get credit, I would think, for a hit, but we'll wait and see.
He had to run a long way for it, but he had it in his glove. He took his eye off of it.
Gives the Rockies a base runner for the first time since the 3rd inning. Just the second one on the afternoon. And the official score is going to charge an error on Suarez.
It's the 6th error on Suarez.
I want to thank all of you for tweeting us your questions during Toyota Talk. For more answers to your questions, visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/RootSportsRM, where our game analysts will answer a bonus Toyota Talk question before the end of the game. Two quick strikes on Josh Rutledge, who struck out his last time up. Tigers came into this game with 70 more strikeouts by their pitchers than their hitters, and what those numbers tell you, a more veteran lineup and some good powered pitching.
Yeah, and from the pitching side, when you're talking about a Verlander or a Scherzer, you add David Price into the mix, who has 189 on the season. And those numbers will go up.
You had 189 for Price. Scherzer 167 and Verlander 110. Rockies meanwhile have just one guy in triple figures, and De La Rosa. Is Jorge even there? Nope, not there yet. He's 90, in the 90s.
Yeah, 93.
96 now, including today. 1-2 on Josh. David Price will make his Tigers debut in New York when the Tigers play the 4-game set with the Yankees. Got him to chase a pitch out of the strike zone. 10 punch outs for Anibal Sanchez. 4-0 Tigers. He has a new address, open in Greenwood Village and Colorado Springs. Anibal Sanchez, a season high 10 punch outs. He's had as many as 17 strikeouts in a game. He did it last year against Atlanta. And Victor Martinez with a 3-run clout for the second straight game. The Tigers cleanup hitter has cleaned up for Detroit the last 2 ball games. More aerial shots from the DirecTV blimp on a wonderful Sunday afternoon. First Sunday in August here in Michigan. I guess it's the first Sunday in August everywhere, but we're here in Michigan.
Right. Knew what you meant.
Torrey Hunter 0 for 2 against De La Rosa.
What happens when that starts to run?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I like getting dressed up for Halloween or a costume party, and I don't know if I'd be wearing
Not
the
just
makeup
to a game.
at a ball game.
No, I'm with you. Halloween's one of my favorites. My son Kyle was born on Halloween, so
there you go.
It's always a special day.
Well, in college, I started as a theater major, and one of the classes I took my freshman year was in stage makeup. So, I mean, I've done for Halloween Werewolf and Frankenstein. I've done Phantom of the Opera with the disfigured face. Now, some people say I'm still wearing that disfigured makeup.
Not going to go there.
I appreciate that. 1-2 on Torrey Hunter. One of the great makeup artists of all time, the guy who did much of the Terminator makeup, just passed away. And there's quite an art to that. Just a little bit outside. I got to use that twice this weekend.
Back-to-back games. No, but in all seriousness, with that guy painting his face and coming back here, I mean, just the energy and the feel here at Tiger Stadium in Detroit is different than it used to be.
Yeah,
I mean, it's good to see not only for the city itself, the way it's rebounded, but then the franchise.
There were some tough stretches in the 90s and the early part of this century. But boy, over the last 8 to 10 years, they've really brought the crowd here and have had good clubs.
Won 3 straight division titles. They hadn't won 3 division titles in the previous 42 years up to that point, from 1969 to 2010. So it just tells you where they were and where they are now.
Had the great '84 team that started the season 35-5 under Sparky Anderson and went on to claim the World Series, but not many opportunities until 2006, I think, was the next time that they really got back into it. Brandon Barnes coming in, and he's going to get there. Hunter with the fly ball out to right for the first out here in the Tigers' 6th.
Be one of the first 15,000 fans on Tuesday, August 5th, when the Cubs come to town and get your Jeep Rally Cap. For more information, go to Rockies.com/promotions. But August 5th, Tuesday, the first 15,000 fans, Jeep Rally Cap.
I love that cap, already built inside out. Isn't that good? JD Martinez, a strikeout and a flyout in his 2 times to the plate. And that 1 inning, unfortunately for Jorge De La Rosa, back in the 3rd when the Tigers scored the 4 times, all with 2 outs. That hurt. But having grown up in Cleveland, and I have family here in Detroit as well, and came up here a lot. Detroit had always been it was a business downtown, but it wasn't like a nightlife downtown. They would come to Tiger Stadium for the Tigers games, and when the Lions played there before they moved out to the Silver Dome, and of course now they're back in town here at Ford Field. But it's always been a magnet. When the Tigers are pretty good, it just changes the whole atmosphere for the state, because they really are a regional team. Easy ground out play for Rutledge at the hands of JD Martinez for out number 2.
And even around the ballpark, it's different now. It's not like it is in Lodo. I mean, Lodo, I think, has it's really built up, and it's a neat area around the ballpark at Coors Field. But this is not bad considering where it was.
Right. They still have, and it's interesting when you walk around. Dan Gilbert, who owns Quicken Loans and all of their subsidiaries, is a Michigan guy out of Michigan State, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, ironically, but he has done a lot of work in downtown Detroit. They call it Opportunity Detroit. They gave him a lot of these vacant buildings for a very small price, relatively speaking, and he's put in a basic structure, and then it creates an opportunity for a business to go in and fine-tune it by what their needs are, but they're at least extending the carrot, if you will,
yes,
to try and attract business back into town.
It's the helping hand.
1 ball, 1 strike on Castellanos with 2 outs here in the Tigers' 6th. Beautiful old architecture here in downtown Detroit. I mean, again, that's the other thing. I love Denver. I mean, it's been a wonderful experience for the family to move out there. But you're really still talking about a town that's new in comparison to a lot of other cities. I mean, Detroit's been around for more than 200 years, and you know, Boston and New York and those places, some reinvent themselves better than others, but you appreciate when they can preserve some of the architecture from the past but try and embrace the future.
Kind of the best of both worlds. That's what we have in Denver.
I agree. Well, you're a Western guy anyway.
Yes.
I mean, grown up in Arizona and college in Wyoming.
Living in Denver now for 18 or 19 years. Wouldn't think about living anywhere else.
Well, when that.
Hey.
Yep. That's Old Tiger Stadium. They have the field. Yeah, that's not in the same dimensions, but that's where it was at the corner of Michigan and Trumbull. That was another thing Ernie Harwell would always open the broadcast. From the corner of Michigan and Trumbull, welcome to Detroit Tigers baseball.
A little ball game going on there.
Yeah, that's good. Got him. El Jorge, as we've seen so often this year, bulls his neck and gives the Rockies a good effort, but they're down here in Detroit.
The Tigers have a 4-0 lead over Colorado. We head to the top of the 7th. That's a look at Detroit. Let's go all the way to Venezuela and show you a map of where Carlos Gonzalez is from in Maracaibo. Mary Kay right across the way there to the west. That's where Miguel Cabrera is from. And as Cargo said, everyone knew about Miguel Cabrera before he even signed.
He was gifted since he was born. He knows how to play the game. He's a hitting machine, and you know, when my first year in the minor leagues, that's when he got called up at the end with the Marlins and ended up winning the World Series. So I guess he's you know, he's one of those guys that everything comes so easy for him.
Well, of course, Cargo was just joking about the so easy. He said, I know how hard he works to get to where he is, and even calling him the best hitter in the game right now. It's a pretty cool juxtaposition of watching Willeen Rosario get to meet his hero and Pudge Rodriguez for the first time this weekend, and then see Carlos Gonzalez, who's been able to foster a relationship with one of the heroes that came from the country he was born in.
You're right about that, Jenny, and it's just we marvel at the number of players, Jeff, that have immigrated from Venezuela to this country and have made such contributions to Major League Baseball.
Well, some of the things that they had to go through just to get over here. I think that's the impressive thing. And I haven't been down to Venezuela, but I've been down to the Dominican probably 12, 15 times, and just to see some of the struggles, where these guys come from and how they had to work out just to make a tryout, borrowing shoes and a mitt.
I'll go back to Omar Vizquel, who's also a native of Venezuela. He said his first glove was a milk carton.
Improvise.
Yep.
That's why his hands were so good.
I think so.
Might be a new training tool.
2-2 on Arenado. And there is strikeout number 11.
Well, that's the 10th time in Sanchez's career that he's had 10 or more strikeouts.
Wells Fargo customers, get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets today by going to wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Wells Fargo Bank, member FDIC. And granted that there are more than the 750 who play in the big leagues through the course of the season, but so far this year 84 different Venezuelans have had game action in the big leagues.
Truly a global game.
Canadian Justin Morneau looking to get a hit against Sanchez, who's a Venezuelan.
This was supposed to be the inning. We talked about it earlier, that you're able to get to Sanchez. Well, this has been the inning where he's had an ERA over 14.
I think sometimes, though, too, when you have the comfort level that he's had in terms of a really good run, just the one hit allowed, that it probably doesn't come into play as much.
No, and it does help when you have the 4-0 lead.
Thought he had one there, perhaps a tad inside or up to, a little bit of both to Justin.
And also when you have all of your pitches working, where you can go to whatever you feel will work.
Count holds at 2-2. What is interesting about this Tigers team right now, and we talked about, Jenny, with the comments from Carlos Gonzalez about Miguel Cabrera. We've seen what Victor Martinez has done, but this team is about pitching, particularly starting pitching this year, it appears, with the Tigers, which is a little bit of a change in that in most of the years when the Tigers have been really good, they've outslugged people. They've always had great hitters, but to have guys like Verlander and now David Price and Max Scherzer, that's a change for them. They've had good pitching. Obviously, Jack Morris was a great pitcher here.
No fun to hit against.
Right, and Mickey Lolich leading that 68 team along with Denny McClain. But it was as much about Al Kaline and Willie Horton and Kirk Gibson. And there's another punch out. 12 for Sanchez. Here's the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #COFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T and the rainbow over Coors Field from some of the action. Last homestand. Yeah, that's a great shot.
I was working out of the studio when the club was in Chicago, and it rained for about 3 days straight.
Drew Stubbs, who has struck out twice among the 12 for Sanchez.
It's the 23rd time the Rockies have had 10 or more strikeouts in a game this year. The leader, though, Houston, has 44 games where they've struck out 10 or more.
Line drive. This could be extra bases. Nope. Davis gets over quickly and down 4 runs. Drew Stubbs will hold. That's just the second hit for the Rockies. And Both of those have gone in the same area over the head of the second baseman Kinsler.
One for Drew. Last night he had a 3-hit game. Today he takes a fastball from Sanchez in a good pitcher spot, but goes down and gets it, hits it to right field, and wisely, pull up. You can't get thrown out at second base down by 4.
Jason Friday has struck out twice in his first game as a Rocky. Sanchez up to 110 pitches, and we're starting to get some activity. There's activity.
Just Joaquin Soria.
Yep, just some Rockies stretching. It's hard to tell if anybody's throwing. Stubbs goes. Avila's throw is not in time, and Drew gets his 13th steal of the year.
'64th for the Rocks. A huge jump with the hip turn, the leg turn from Sanchez. He didn't think he was going to go, and he stole that one. Almost standing up. He just slid to slow down.
Two balls and a strike now on Friday. For all of the Rockies' offensive limitations in this game, the pitching of De La Rosa, except for that third inning, he has given the club a chance that a rally's not insurmountable.
Well, if you can get to that bullpen.
2-2.
Sanchez next pitch will be number 114, which will tie the season high for him.
Get the season high now. They do not expect Friday to pull the ball. They're set way the other way. He goes the other way. Long run for Martinez. Foul ball.
I was wondering what Sanchez was going to throw this late in the game. Would he go to the breaking pitch or try to elevate a fastball? He went with the curveball.
The day after every Rockies win, get 40% off your online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code ROXWIN at papajohns.com. Jason Friday trying to get the Rockies on the board here. Down by 4 in the 7th with Drew Stubbs leading away from second base. They wanted that outside. He missed it all the way to the other side of the plate. Full count.
Just pulled too much with the arm coming through on the changeup. Overamped it. I gotta believe this is going to be his last hitter, one way or the other.
Little comebacker. Oh, going to be a tougher chance, and a good play by Cabrera to reach over the base runner to take the throw from Avila. Shutout still intact. Tigers with the lead. brought to you by Specialty Appliance. Buy smarter. By Esurance. Now you can buy homeowners insurance online from Esurance. Welcome to the modern world. Visit esurance.com for a quote. By Xfinity. Ask about the X1 platform to make your future awesome. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets today by going to wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Wells Fargo Bank. Member FDIC. Great pictures all day on a sunny Sunday from the DirecTV blimp. We thank DirecTV for providing that coverage, adding just a little extra to the sounds and sights of Major League Baseball here in Detroit, Michigan. Well, Jorge De La Rosa, for the 8th consecutive start, has worked at least 6 innings.
Well, he's also the 6th pitcher in Rockies history to throw over 800 now for his career. 800 innings in a Rockies uniform, 802 to be exact.
He is at the low 90s in terms of pitch count, and with that in mind, Tommy Kahnle has begun to warm up in the Rockies bullpen. Avila, Suarez, and Davis for the Tigers here in the last of the 7th. Alex Avila, we mentioned last night, his dad Al is the assistant general manager for Dave Dombrowski, and Alex, the next in line of some pretty solid catching here in Detroit through the years. Go back to Billy Freehan and Lance Parrish, and of course Pudge Rodriguez. There's Al Avila right there, Alex's dad. They
had Larry Parrish,
Lance
Parrish.
Parrish. Yep, Lance Parrish for a number of years. All those guys could hit. 2 balls and no strikes.
Lance Parrish had those bright orange shin guards
before anybody else.
Yeah, I mean that was the deal. Matty Noakes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Matt was a good hitter, but
he couldn't catch. He's just looking to hit it into the second deck at Old Tiger Stadium.
Well, as a kid growing up in that Tigers team in the 60s, we showed Jim Price working the radio for the Tigers. He was the number 2 catcher. Billy Freehan, who was a local Michigan guy, did the bulk of the work behind the plate. He was a very fine player. 3-0 now on Avila.
RBI Baseball is back with all 30 MLB teams and 2014 players. Get the retro do-button style baseball game you've been missing. Visit RBIGame.com for more details and download today.
Full count as he went upstairs with a fastball. Jorge closing in on 100 pitches on the afternoon. He's walked 1. That was somewhat of a pitch around of Cabrera in the first inning, but had the costly hit by a pitch against Kinsler with a 1-2 count in that 3rd inning when the Tigers scored 4 times. Got him. That's the way to come back down in the count. Strikeout number 5 for Georgie.
Well, he threw him 2 fastballs to get back to a 3-2 count, and then went off speed with the splitter. Right out of the hand. Perfect location and execution.
Suarez, the shortstop, is grounded to third. A fabulous play by Arenado, and flied to right. But we've been talking, Jeff, about the great players, and this is a franchise that was a charter member of the American League, so they've been around for a long time, and it's always great to come here and see some of the Tiger greats still around. Al Kaline, who's still active in their front office, and
that was fun to see on Friday when he was out by the batting cage.
Out by the batting cage. We visited with the great Willie Horton in the press room Friday night. 2-1 the count now on Suarez. Just there's a statue of Willie. They've got all the artwork out there, and then the retired numbers and the Hall of Famers that are
10 Hall of
on
Famers.
the walls.
10 Hall of Famers.
Ty Cobb, of course, Charlie Gehringer, Hal Newhouser,
Hank Greenberg.
That was the guy for me. I wish I had a chance. And there, of course, they recognized Ernie, who's in the Hall of Fame as well, Ernie Harwell. I wish I would have been able to see Hank Greenberg play in his prime. You know, not strike 3 called, and that's out number 2. Back-to-back punch-outs for De La Rosa. But, you know, talking to my parents and my aunts and uncles, they talked so much about Greenberg being a great player on not great Tigers teams, and you know, there are people who said, as many people didn't cherish Stan Musial enough because he played in the Midwest, and the Cardinals weren't all that good when he was playing, and for Greenberg a similar thing. This bunt's going to go foul off the bat of Davis.
Well, it just wasn't the exposure then that you have now.
And Greenberg, 331 homers and nearly 1,300 RBIs, and you have to remember he missed 3 years for World War II.
Right.
I mean, easy to say that it would have been 400 plus homers and maybe 1,500 runs batted in, because those were prime years that Greenberg missed. Rajay Davis, the Rockies are not going to miss this guy. He has been a torment. That is his 7th hit in the series.
7 for 13 with 2 RBIs and 4 runs scored.
And this is the 3rd time in the ball game that the Tigers get something started with 2 outs, and with Ian Kinsler due to hit, Walt Weiss is going to pull the plug on Jorge De La Rosa, who again, except for that 3rd inning, gave a yeoman's-like effort for the Rockies here this afternoon. Tigers with the lead in the 7th. Fox, excuse me. So I got too many mics. That looks like the SS Minnow, he said in the background there, but I
think it's
so.
a little larger than that.
Yeah. Tommy Kahnle will come on for the 43rd time.
Well, and between he and LaTroy Hawkins, the two guys out of the pen that you can just say are dependable, and Tommy, from where he started to where he is now, the innings he's getting just shows you the growth and maturity. This is smart here because I always thought base stealers, when a new pitcher came in, he was concerned about the guy at the plate. It's a good time to look to run in the first or second pitch. For Tommy Kahnle, a 183 at batting average against. That leads all National League rookies, relievers.
Well, really justified what they saw out of his numbers at Double-A with the Yankees last year, that he doesn't give up hits, and if he could harness his control a little more, he would be a very solid pickup, and Tommy's done just that.
Well, he has, and you know, who knows when that light switch goes on, or where you figure out, if I throw more strikes, it's all going to work out. Don't try to throw it through the catcher, just throw it to him.
The walk's probably higher than he and the Rockies want, but better than it was in the minors. Davis goes, and no throw by Rosario. That is number 26 for Rajai Davis.
As I said, you know, when a reliever comes in, it's the first or second pitch that the guy's going to go. And for Davis, a lot of stolen bases in his career. Gets the big jump off the leg kick.
A lot of times those power throwers out of the bullpen are the guys that you can run on.
Well, a lot of times they're not concerned about the running game as much. They're concerned right now, and rightly so, as if he strikes out or gets Kinsler, innings over. So you don't need to worry about that stolen base. But again, it does make it more difficult with that runner in scoring position.
And this will get him to third. I tell if Willeen got crossed up or just couldn't handle some high heat.
I just don't think he can handle the high heat. Will be a wild pitch. Set up, down and in. Couldn't get the glove up fast enough.
Now you got to get this guy because of who's on deck, Cabrera. Davis again stirring the scene.
Detroit today 2 for 3 with runners in scoring position.
After the big night doing that in last night's ball game when they went 7 for 10. So 9 for their last 13 opportunities. I think Kinsler agreed with Mr. Welke, but that's strike 2.
Nelson might not have agreed with what he was thinking. He was thinking fastball.
Yeah. With the Ford strike zone, Mr. Fox told me, indicated that it was, and you're right, Michael. And got him off the glove. Willeen will have to hurry, and got him. So just what Tommy Kahnle was brought on to do. Make sure no more damage done. Rockies head to the 8th, looking for offense. advertise your business locally on the networks people watch. Go to ComcastSpotlight.com for details. See the Rockies managing just 2 hits off of Anibal Sanchez, and Jorge De La Rosa again working into the 7th inning. Had the one bump in the 3rd when the Tigers got all 4 of their runs, 3 coming on the Martinez homer. Sanchez done for the afternoon, and he is going to give way to one of the setup men for Brad Ausmus, and that's Jabba Chamberlain.
Kind of hard to recognize Chamberlain with that big beard that everybody's been going to. Former starter, reliever with the Yankees, had Tommy John surgery this year. 22 holds for Jabba. 43 2/3, averaging almost a strikeout per inning. Only 2 home runs given up, 15 walks.
Had the Tommy John and then also had an ankle dislocation, and he reestablished himself last year, but became a free agent, and the Tigers, with their bullpen issues in the postseason last year, signed Chamberlain to fill the role he's performing right now.
He could still throw 94 to 96. And that's not an issue with that arm. Complements it with the slider and a curveball.
So you have Chamberlain, Soria, and Nathan as the back 3. 1-1 on Moline, who has grounded out twice to the left side of the infield. Rockies hits belong to Brandon Barnes, the on-deck hitter, and Drew Stubbs. One and 2 on Rosario. If you've got auto glass damage, trust Safelite. Go online to safelite.com or call 303-287-5000 to schedule an appointment. Two and 2. The Rockies have not hit a home run on this road trip. Their last 6 games, this being the 7th. And that would equal their longest streak in the club's history. Moline will start this 8th inning off with a base hit, however. Just the 3rd of the day, and the first time the Rockies all day have had the leadoff man on.
Well, you mentioned the homerless streak. You have to go back to 2007, early in the season, when they had the 7-game stretch. So much power in this lineup, and a couple. I can maybe see it here because of how big the ballpark is. You're thinking Chicago, but remember it was cooler. The wind was blowing in.
Yeah, the whole 4 days. You're right. Barnes a base hit to right field his first time up, and then Brandon struck out. Again, as we said last inning, when the Rockies did get Drew Stubbs to second base with 2 outs, that the game is not out of reach because of the way Jorge De La Rosa kept the club in it.
Still don't think it's out of reach with this ball. You got Sanchez out of there, and the bullpen and their struggles are well documented.
Breaking ball didn't find the zone. The count evens on Brandon Barnes. Again, you're in the scenario with where you are in the lineup. It's all about getting base runners down 4. Here's the issue that we've been talking about with their bullpen. Brandon got too anxious there. You know, the Beards have been in the last couple of years in baseball, and that's got to rank high on the list.
Right up there. I'm not sure who has a bigger beard. Who started that? Was it the Red Sox last spring training?
Yeah,
2 years ago?
It was probably, yeah, I mean, for a number of them. I mean, you had Brian Wilson doing it first, but that's a beard of a different color. Literally.
Uh-huh.
Got him with a breaking ball. 13 strikeouts for the Rockies. You see the frustration. Brandon saying, why did I swing at that?
Well, and just where Chamberlain put it, came out of the hand looking like a fastball, looking like it was a strike at mid-thigh. But ended up down and away.
LeMahieu ground out and a strikeout. Straightened up, and Milwaukee said that was in there. Right at the very top on the edge of the Ford strike zone, apparently, with that breaking ball.
Well, he started it at him and broke it there. So hitter, you give up. You don't think it's going to be a strike, and then when it does, it just surprises you.
Came back with another one.
And that was a better one and a different one. It's more away from DJ.
One ball and 2 strikes. The Rockies have had 4 base runners on the day, the 3 hits, and then Corey Dickerson reached on the error when Suarez dropped the ball going towards the line on a pop-up in short left field. Tigers pitching very stingy with the walks. They haven't walked anybody this weekend and have been pretty solid about it in general all weekend.
You have strikeout guys on the hill. They're going to pile some up because you expand your zone as a hitter. We saw it with Brandon a moment ago, and it might have got DJ there.
And got him on the breaking ball. That's 14 strikeouts.
This one. So these are the ones that keep you up at night because it's not a strike. You can't hold up.
So after the leadoff single, Rockies haven't been able to move Willeen Rosario, and it'll be up to Corey Dickerson to try and get something charged up. The Tigers' rally came with 2 outs when they scored their 4 in the 3rd inning. And it appears, Jeff, this is our first look at Jabba Chamberlain. Fastballs to set you up. It looks like he's become much more of a breaking ball guy.
Yeah, but with still 95, you have to honor that. But you're right. He enjoys that slider.
Cabrera knocks it down and ends the inning. Rockies get a hit, but can't score. Middle of 8, 4-0 Detroit. more than a century, and now Comerica Park. Coors Field, of course, the home for the Rockies, and the Rockies head back to Denver to host the Chicago Cubs for a quick midweek homestand before the Rockies get back out on the road again. Make sure you tune in for the pregame show starting at 6 o'clock Mountain Time on Tuesday evening. New pitcher for the Rockies here in the last of the 8th. It'll be right-hander Adam Ottavino.
The ERA starting to go back down for Adam. He had that stretch where he was giving up some earned runs, but lately he's back to the Adam that we saw early in the season. His first career save at Chicago back on the 30th of July.
Cabrera's been on base 3 times.
Where's that pitch?
And that's what the Rockies dugout is asking.
Saying, wait a second. I don't care if it's Miguel Cabrera, whoever it is. That's a strike's a strike.
Yep. It's like a Larry Bird foul. The next one is in there.
The first pitch is number 1. I think it touched the bottom of the 4 strike zone. Called the second one a straight. It should be 0-2. Instead, it's 1-1.
Josh will get up and get him.
Talk about a ball that was hit hard.
Boom.
Oh, sounded like it was coming out of a cannon.
Down goes Rutledge. Down goes Rutledge.
The one thing, once you catch it, though, you know you have about a half a day to make the play at first, because you got Miguel Cabrera running down the line. It's hit hard. With some help with Justin Morneau.
First time they've retired Cabrera. Now it's Victor Martinez batting from the left side now. 3 hits in the series, and they all produced runs. 2 3-run homers and an RBI single. 7 ribbies. Backdoor breaking ball to Victor.
Going with the big shift on the right side. DJ playing a short rover position. 10 or 15 feet back on the grass.
210 RBIs between Cabrera, Martinez, and Hunter. And if you had a full year of Tulo, Cargo, and Kadire, you'd probably expect close to the same. But such has not been the case, unfortunately, for the Rockies. Victor gets his 4th hit of the series. Jenny Kavnar has something for us down field side. Jenny.
Yeah, well, Torrey Hunter, a very familiar face for several Rockies that played on Minnesota with him, including LaTroy Hawkins, Michael Kadire, and Justin Morneau. But we got the chance to talk to Torrey about being on a winning team, and I asked him if for this Tigers team it's World Series or bust.
Hopefully we had that attitude before spring training, you know, and but just to see David Price come over and see what Dave Dombrowski was able to do to get David Price, and I mean, you can't beat that, you know. I'm excited about it. Got the team pumped up about it. That rotation would have 3 Cy Young winners, 1 MVP in that rotation, and Porcello, a guy who's probably leading the American League in wins, and so I definitely think that it's going to help us out a lot, because pitching and defense does win games in the postseason.
Well, he's exactly right with that starting rotation. You guys have talked a little bit about their bullpen on the back end, something they're going to have to improve a lot if they want to be in the World Series. But Huey, you mentioned the odds. If the odds aren't enough, just listen to Torrey Hunter. That guy feels like he has a winner as those words are coming out of his mouth.
Well, you could just see the energy and the passion with which he was talking. I saw Torrey down in the tunnel before the ball game today. He's just bounding around with a big smile, looked like a young kid again.
He'll line out on the ball to Drew Stubbs. People forget, you go back to 2003 when there was talk about contracting in baseball, with the Twins being one of the candidates. And Torrey Hunter got young people like Michael Kadire and Justin Morneau and others, and he said, you know, they don't think we belong. We just have to play for ourselves, play for the team. And they went off on a great stretch of baseball, and probably, I don't think it's a reach to say they saved the franchise.
What a group of guys to do it, though. I mean, when you're rallying around a Torrey Hunter and you bring in the other two you're talking about, you can see where the character and how these guys play with the heart that they do.
LaTroy Hawkins talks much about the character style built by Terry Ryan, the longtime general manager, and first Tom Kelly and Ron Gardner. If you think about it, folks, the Twins have had two managers for 30+ years.
Well, that's also why they brought Terry Ryan back. He stepped away and said, no, we need you back, Terry.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't add Andy McPhail to that as well, because Andy was the predecessor of Terry Ryan, and Andy, out of a great baseball family, helped set up some of that foundation as well.
Wayne Kriske was there for a long time, assistant GM.
JD Martinez will get his first hit. It'll keep this 8th inning going for the Tigers. 2 on and 2 out. Who wants tacos? Well, fans follow at @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special whenever the Rockies score 7 or more runs in a game. 8 hits on the afternoon for the Tigers. Belle Isle Park out in the Detroit River. And of course you can go over the, I'm trying to remember, I think it's the Friendship Bridge that takes you over into
bring your passport.
The western end of Ontario. Canada is a really short distance away here. That's part of the reason why they love their hockey here in Detroit. Hockey Town, USA, although Doug Marino says he'll disagree with that.
Former Avs coach Tony Granato was named an assistant coach for Detroit Red Wings just recently.
Castellanos went 0 for 3 against De La Rosa. Hanley came on, got the final out of the 7th. Ottavino trying to finish the 8th. 1 ball and 1 strike on the rookie third baseman. It's interesting, they are ardent in their following of the Tigers and at times fanatical with the Red Wings. They shrug their shoulders a lot with the Lions. They wait they wait for something to go wrong, because it has for too many years. I think that's why they follow Michigan and Michigan State so ardently. Drew Stubbs, can he get to it? He will. And the Rockies center fielder puts it away. The Tigers strand a pair. One more shot for the Rockies. The 9th is next here in Detroit. We talked about the carousel. There it is. And you saw the little kind of mini Ferris wheel, if you will. What will be coming up next on the carousel that is the Toyota post-game show? Mark Stout's going to let us know. All right, Mark, thanks very much. New pitcher for the Tigers, Joakim Soria.
17 for 19 in save chances. This is not a save opportunity for him, but to stay off of Joe Nathan, it's nice to be able to have somebody else, when he's not able to close, go out there and have the experience.
He has had some issues adjusting to Detroit after some all-star years in Kansas City and then went to Texas. Corey Nebel and Jake Thompson went to Texas in the deal.
It was kind of interesting that he would have struggles coming here because you're staying in the same league. It's not like you're flip-flopping.
And a leadoff single for Josh Rutledge. Josh did a good job of just going with that pitch. You could see Soria, the head went back like not again.
Here we go. And I'm just looking down out in the bullpen to see after that base hit, are they going to get up Nathan? No action yet. Well, this month, number 17 will be retired, so you want to get your gear on at your Rockies Dugout store. They're all exclusive merchandise stores for number 17 apparel, from hats and t-shirts to other collectibles. Stop by any of our 6 Dugout stores today.
Ball 1 to Nolan Arenado. This is the 4th appearance for Soria, and he's allowed 6 runs in an inning and 2/3 in those first 3 appearances. And Arenado drives it to left, but not quite enough. Martinez will make the grab. Back to first goes Rutledge with 1 out here in the Rockies' 9th.
We got a moment. Last night, Jonathan Gray, 7-inning pitch, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, or excuse me, 6 strikeouts on just 93 pitches.
Yeah, I saw some of his post-game comments, and he said last couple of starts, he said, I tried to get away from thinking so much about my mechanics and getting back to just pitching a little bit. And sometimes that happens. You get too technical in your mind.
Just paralyze yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Game, Tulsa beat Northwest Arkansas 4-3.
Yeah, Trevor Story hit another home run. Now up to Double-A, a Rockies sandwich pick out of high school a couple of years ago. And Soria gets 2 quick strikes on Justin Morneau.
Justin does not like it. Looking back at Bill Wilkie, having a discussion. And you see why that second pitch that he called the strike is not on the 4th strike zone. It's away.
He'll hit it towards left. Martinez will get there, and the Rockies are down to their final out. And you can see right there, I mean, they got that strike 2 call. So Soria and Avila said, we're just going to go a little wider.
Why not? Kind of like the old Greg Maddux theory, where if it's 6 inches off a plate's called a strike, I'll go to 8.
Go till they stop calling it a strike.
Well, and it also
or it makes
the hitter expand his zone.
Yeah, with 2 strikes, Justin feels like he has to swing. Drew Stubbs, a single and a stolen base on the day. And down to second base goes Josh Rutledge on defensive indifference. Look out. Boy, that went into the crowd to hurry, and somebody grabbed it. Not only protected those around him, but got the souvenir. This should do it. Davis takes charge, and the Tigers sweep the Rockies here in Detroit. Very strong pitching. We knew that would be the possibility all weekend long. And Verlander, Porcello, and Sanchez, 3/5 of this dominant starting rotation. Very tough here today and all weekend. There is our Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery of the game, and it has to go to Anibal Sanchez. He struck out a dozen Rockies, and you see the note there, just the 4th time in